pre-AI infra, what will it take to get us to that next phase of true agent adoption? So I am thrilled by the dream team we have to explore that today. Please welcome David Fields, Lele, Eric Weiner, Nicolas, and Sam Ewan, my colleague at CoinDesk. Thank you.
Look at all these humans. It's very exciting. Raise your hand if you're an agent. All right, we got a couple. Welcome. I'll try to speak in binary for you. What a wonderful panel. I'm very excited to be able to moderate this with these four brilliant people. I'm going to learn a lot. I'm Sam Ewan from CoinDesk. I head up the innovation practice, so I'm going to take a lot of notes on what we're talking about today. But I would love, Lele, let's start with you. Just give us a 20-second who you are, and then we'll go down the panel.
Sure. Really great to see everyone. I love Toronto. So I'm Lele. I'm VP and head of business development at Kite AI. Kite AI is AI layer 1 focused on building an open marketplace for agents, models, and data. And myself, I come from more of a TradFi background. I worked on Wall Street for over 10 years and came to the blockchain space about 5 years ago.
Eric?
Hey, I'm Eric Weiner. I'm the CTO of Near AI. Near AI is kind of an offshoot of the Near protocol in L1. We're focused on building a framework for AI agent hosting, for agents to talk to other agents, transact, pay, and the app layer on top of that.
Hi, I'm David Fields. I'm co-founder and CEO at Ready AI. We're focused on structuring all the world's data and making it universally accessible to AI. And we're built on BitTensor, one of the leading crypto AI protocols.
Hi, I'm Nicolas Kokalis. I am one of the co-founders of Pi Network and heading the technology. Pi Network is a social network with tens of millions of people with its own embedded cryptocurrency, Pi. People have been mining it for the last more than six years now. They've been using it. They have been creating apps. And one unique feature about Pi is that every account on the blockchain, before it's activated, it needs to pass identity verification.
All right, so what I want to start with, and again, you can give me a really short answer, is in the worlds that each of you are playing within the infra side and in AI, you know, I wanted you to give me kind of the analogous place we are in the technology spectrum, right? So if we think of YouTube and streaming video, are we still in the VHS era when it comes to what we're doing? So Nick, let's start with you.
Oh wow! So that's a good question. So I think that every time in history there's technologies that are being invented, and then there's a little bit of lag and a little bit of time between when they are invented and they are actually being massively used. So that's where we are with Gen AI. So especially with the generative AI and AI in general, there has been a leap forward, a breakthrough in what the models can achieve. And now is the time to build great apps and great products. In the same way that, you know, when electricity was created, not every house had it, not every industrialization wasn't there, or when the combustion engine was there, not everyone had a car. What was the exact product was not really known. So that's where we are right now. It's an exciting time to live.
All right, we're at the combustion engine. That's what I'm taking away from David, where are we right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot about this. I sort of feel like we're, you know, in the kind of mid-90s of the internet. But one big difference is there's massive distribution, right, that's been laid over the last 25 years since then. And so I think because of that, you know, you've seen, you know, some unbelievable growth in, you know, from 0 to 100 million in revenue by the, you know, OpenAI, but then Cursor doing it like, you know, in record time. And that's because distribution is now dramatically different than what it was then. And I think it's going to accelerate the pace at which we see AI uptake.
Eric, where are we?
I think that's a really good point. I love that we're all coming up with different analogies here. The one I like is remember when like the iPhone came out and then they put the App Store on there and then you're like, oh my god, you can do this thing where you can like drink a beer and it like falls out of the iPhone, or like you can download a song straight to your phone. It can't get better than this. This is wow. You can do all these amazing things, and it turns out that another 15 years of amazing things you can build. We're at that stage where it feels like you're doing so much, but it's really just scratching the surface. And to your guys' points, like it's going to accelerate even faster this time, faster than we maybe handle.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with what a lot of has already been said. I think that we're in the age of agents. So, before it was about desktop or web, then came the era of mobile, and now is the time for agents. And a lot of things have happened to make that a lot easier. Better agent frameworks like MCP, A2A, lower inference costs, stronger foundation models. And so we'll see a lot more of that to come. But I think it is really important to have more of a trust framework for humans to interact with agents, and also agents to autonomously interact with agents as well.
Leia, I want to pull on that thread a little bit. I feel like we're still like at the rotary phone when it comes to agentic AI. I'm frightened about what's going to happen in the same way that I'm turned on by it, right? Like I want agentic AI, but I'm very scared of what it's going to do when it stops asking for permission. So as you guys are building your systems, how are you kind of putting into place the guardrails that allow agentic AI to thrive without letting it do the things we don't want it to do in the movies we've seen about the future?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. That's also where blockchain is very helpful, because the blockchain allows for a lot of the attribution, provenance on-chain. You can track how an agent was created, from the data that went into the agents and model builders, and you can also have a lot of smart contracts have programmable logic, which serves as a service agreement, which helps you check the performance of agents, potentially resolve disputes as well. And of course, the blockchain provides a payment rails, because for agents, it's very difficult to access credit cards or someone's bank accounts, but stablecoin and blockchain rails is a natural fit for that.
Nicolas, the Pi network has millions of people. We found this out the hard way when we were announcing your panel. They went crazy. I don't know how many of them are synthetic. I don't know how many of them are real. But in dealing with the vast numbers that you're dealing with, are you worried that at some point it kind of goes out of control, where this group mass starts to do the things it wants to do, whether you want it or not?
Yeah, that's a problem, a challenge not only for Pi, but for the world going forward, because now with generative AI, it's becoming less and less easy to distinguish a real human from AI. It used to be AI used to be pretty dumb, you could tell immediately, but now it's not that easy. So Pi opted for following a unique approach, which was to KYC every single individual using identity verification, turning your head left and right, and all that stuff. And we think that this approach is going to be very useful, especially in the future, when you want to distinguish between 1,000 fake bots and 1,000 real people, especially in a world where you want to be able to meritocratically and fairly distribute value or other applications like this. You need to be able to identify who's human and who's not.
David, we're talking backstage about what true proof of humanity means, especially at the enterprise level that I know you guys are playing at. So how important is it to allow that the human can have a touch on the AI systems that are being built?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting, question. So, we do a lot in terms of structuring data for enterprise, and the big sort of why now for us was we saw a crossing point between where LLMs could do a lot of these data annotation tasks more effectively than humans, and so we enable a competitive landscape. It's decentralized, it's permissionless. We tap into global intelligence around the world. People can run their own models to do these data annotations, and we're seeing people perform these at 86% higher accuracy than humans, and we're doing 51% higher than kind of GPT's best models, because they're optimized for this use case. And so I kind of see a bifurcation happening. There's a lot of data structuring that needs to be done at massive scale. You know, the largest companies in the world have decades of data that they need to structure for AI models and AI applications. So that can't all be done by humans. But I think, you know, we don't really play as much on the other side, which I think is quite important, which is more of the kind of human annotation, human labeling. You know, that's being done more and more with higher skilled areas. But we were talking a little bit backstage. Well, where does that crossing point happen for some of those higher skilled labor? Is that 3 years? Is that 10 years? Is it 20 years? But AIs are getting smarter at a crazy accelerated pace.
Eric, I want to ask you about the idea of decentralization. So Near is so early. It was one of the pioneers in the idea of AI in decentralization. Ilya's been talking about this forever. I find it hard in the world outside of this room to talk about why decentralization matters in the AI system when, you know, when 400 million people are comfortable going to ChatGPT or use Grok or use Gemini. Why do we need decentralization, especially in the context of this agentic conversation?
Sure. I think of two things. First of all, I think it's more developers and enterprises that would drive decentralization than it is the actual end users. I like WhatsApp as an example here. Most people, like WhatsApp has billions of users, and they adopt a lot of the end-to-end encryption tech that's used in Signal. People are really paranoid about security. They tend to use Signal, but more people are using WhatsApp, and it's great that WhatsApp at least purports to care about that. Similarly, like, you can convince developers that these principles are important, and they will pass it on to their users and convince their users. Secondly, as there's more autonomous agents going around, like, that is just an absolute superpower. Once you have a network of autonomous agents communicating with each other, I think there's so many unlocks there, and a lot of those unlocks have existed since blockchains have really come into prominence. Like, there's nothing you necessarily can't do with a beginner Ethereum smart contract. But once AI agents are talking to other AI agents and negotiating how they're going to transact, how they're going to get something done, how they're going to check each other's work, like, that's just another opportunity for crypto adoption. That's another opportunity for where a human might be like, I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to sign an escrow contract, or I'm not going to bother, I'm going to give you my credit card number. And AI is going to say, well, like, let's use a digital native payment system. Let's use a smart contract here. I think it's a whole nother adoption unlock for the world of decentralization.
But to push back, I mean, crypto adoption at some point we're going to stop talking about, right? I think about what is happening with, like, I spoke to Revolut last week. Revolut has 52 million users. 15 million of them have been involved with crypto transactions. They're just thinking they're playing in finance, right? So I guess, how important is it for the masses, and you guys are building infra, how important is it for the masses to even have to understand that decentralization matters?
Oh, none. Any more than just in my previous example, most people even know what end-to-end encryption is. It's up to us to get ourselves out of the mindset of we need to be pushing crypto and into the mindset of we need to be pushing amazing applications, amazing use cases to people, and that just happen to be built on these principles. We're not going to win by pushing the principles. We're only going to win by making better stuff.
So, I mean, Nicolas, when you're talking to the Pi Army, and they're vocal, are they vocal about decentralization, or are they vocal about Pi?
So I think that in general, when we're thinking of decentralization and AI, and there is another aspect. There is, of course, the technical challenges and how we can embed this into technology, how we can do the training, how we can distribute the rewards. But there is also the concept of value capture. So in a future where more and more work is done by agents and by AI, It is important to make sure that the value is not only captured by a few individuals or a few companies, and it can be captured by a large number of people. And that's where blockchain in our projects can come to play. And the founders of those projects and the people who are working on it need to come to think about how blockchain can help with the value capture.
So when we think of building an agentic strategy, what are the 3 things that you need to know in order to be successful?
Yeah. Well, I think also just going back to your question about decentralization, for users, I don't think they necessarily care so much about decentralization. But what I do care about is, what are you doing with my data? How are you using it? And I think that's been one of the biggest criticisms of a lot of centralized companies. And there been a lot of lawsuits as well in terms of taking user data and training models behind the scenes. Also, I would love to get rewarded if you're using something that I have produced or I've interacted with to train an agent that then comes back and targets myself as well. And I think that's really important for a lot of the different consumers out there. And then also in the centralized world, you are at the mercy of a lot of the pricing and rate limits. And for example, we were just about to launch our new testnet and featuring some of our partner agents, and a rate limit in pricing which immediately came up from kind of the core foundation model. So I think those things are very important.
But I still look at the fact that people are utilizing Spotify to listen to music, Netflix to watch videos, ChatGPT to do their OpenAI, their conversations with an LLM. And I don't think those users are thinking through the lens of, wait, do I get rewarded for what I'm giving in? I'm frightened by what ChatGPT knows about me, right? And I do it every day, and I willingly give that. And so I guess I hear you, and I think we all agree in theory, but I think in practice, big tech has shown us that people are much more interested in convenience than they are about that security. Am I getting that wrong?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And I think the biggest criticism about the blockchain space, and something we need to collectively, do better about, is still the user experience. I think Eric, mentioned it before. We really need to build for the users. How do I make it easy? People are going to use something that is easy to use. So, still kind of the wallets, gas fees, a very decentralized ecosystem. Those are some of the things that we collectively as builders need to provide.
All right, so David, again, you guys think about this to the enterprise level. How do you truly build a enterprise-grade app utilizing decentralized tools of AI?
Yeah, so just to touch on sort of the decentralized point, I've been in crypto for 12 plus years now, and I think most of us who have been here for a while care about these things, but I think I've seen time and time again that users, especially retail or consumers, don't typically care about these things. They're sharing information sort of at will with the Googles of the world and now the ChatGPTs. What is interesting on the enterprise side, small to large scale, is data is really valuable, really matters. And decentralization, I think, has the potential to be a feature, not a bug. And I think we're in the early stages of sort of educating enterprises on why that's the case, but many of them are already inherently concerned about sharing their data with OpenAI, because now that's models.
How do you guys
I think that
I think that's, and so like,